Cuts and Slices is an incredibly popular New York City pizzeria that rose to fame for their unique and innovative pizza toppings such as oxtail and lobster. However, it's not always the most affordable pizzeria, with some slices costing as much as 20 bucks, while there are numerous pies that go for over 100. Simply put, I had to find out if Cuts and Slices was worth it. It's a beautiful day today here in New York City. Right now I'm along the Hudson River, and in fact, I just returned from my amazing trip to Japan a few days ago. My adventure in Japan was hands down one of the best trips that I ever took, and I cannot wait to share the videos from that experience. Everything there was incredible, from the food to the sights I saw and people I met. It was just so incredible. However, it does feel good to be back in New York City, and there was one food that I was somewhat missing in Japan, and that's pizza. Although Japan is actually known to have some pretty good pizza, but unfortunately I just never got the chance to try any of it. However, that's not completely true. I did have one pizza in Japan. Unfortunately, it wasn't very good. I got it in Kyoto. It was interesting with the topping, at least. It had white bait, which was interesting, but unfortunately the crust, the cheese, the sauce, it was bad. It pretty much felt like a frozen pizza. So being back in New York and being pizza deprived, I needed to get my fill. Plus pizza, even the best pizza, is usually pretty affordable. But unfortunately the place I went to may just be one of the most expensive slice shops in New York City. I went to Cuts and Slices, and they're known for having some pretty crazy and unique and luxurious toppings. They offer toppings like oxtail, lobster, shrimp, chicken and waffles. It's pretty crazy. I went there once before and thoroughly enjoyed it, so I decided to go back and give it another go today. This was my experience at Cuts and Slices. Just a few blocks away from the long lines of Katz's Delicatessen on Houston Street is one of New York City's most popular pizzerias of the moment, Cuts and Slices. The original establishment opened in 2018 in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and since then has expanded with locations in both Queens and Manhattan. I've only been to the Manhattan spot on the Lower East Side since it's the most convenient for me, but one day I would love to check out the original restaurant. Cuts and Slices is the product of Ashley and Randy McLaren. Business was slow at first, but through the use of social media, the pizzeria gained traction. Customers started showing up for the unique toppings. Randy's years spent in the restaurant industry, along with his Trinidadian background, resulted in the creation of original pizzas that utilized toppings like shrimp and oxtail. One instance that really helped propel the restaurant to fame was when rapper Jadakiss ordered a crust-only pizza. The restaurant posted a picture of the order, which was pretty amusing. It's basically a hollowed-out pizza with what looks to be cups of marinara sauce for presumably dipping. As a result of their unique flavor combinations, use of social media, and celebrity endorsements, the restaurant exploded in popularity. To put it simply, I was incredibly excited to give Cuts and Slices a try, but not for a crust-only pizza. Both of my visits to the Manhattan restaurant were on weekdays for late lunches. The restaurant itself, like a lot of New York City slice shops, isn't very large. There's a few tables and some stools along the walls. For what it is, it's adequate. However, I hated the high volume of the music. Now, it was good music, but it was obnoxiously loud. In fact, I had trouble relaying my order when I was at the counter, despite the fact that I was only a couple feet away from the person helping me. Plus, there was a bit of general confusion when orders were ready and being called out to customers because no one could really hear what was being said. On warmer days, I would be inclined to get my food to go and find a spot outside in the neighborhood to enjoy it. As far as the menu, it's highly varied, both in terms of toppings and price. A cheese slice goes for as little as $3.50, while some luxurious slices will set one back 20 bucks. As for whole pizzas, there were numerous ones that went for over 100. Regardless of the price, I was liking what I was seeing, and I wanted to try as much as possible. I did find that on both of my visits, it took a little bit of time for my order to be prepared, but the wait was worth it. All of my food looked fantastic and I couldn't wait to give it a go. Cuts and Slices certainly made waves for a number of their topping combinations, but their most famous offering has to be their Oxtail pizza. The restaurant, however, doesn't have just one Oxtail style. In fact, they have 4. There's brown stew Oxtail, sweet chili Oxtail, curry Oxtail, and sweet teriyaki Oxtail. I decided to try the sweet chili Oxtail, and my goodness, the restaurant really loaded up my slice with meat. In fact, every slice I had from the restaurant was pretty topping heavy. As a result, 2 hands were necessary to consume those slices. After taking a bite, I was blown away. That pizza was so damn good. First off, let's consider the pizza itself minus the toppings. Pies at Cuts and Slices are big and thick. They're not like the elegant slices at spots like Lay Industry, Best Pizza, or Finny Pizza. As a result, they're more filling and thus provide a bit of justification for the higher prices. The crust and base of the pizza was solid texturally, although it's not the best pizza in that regard, but it gets the job done, as its purpose really is to provide a platform for the restaurant's fantastic combination of toppings. Regarding the crust specifically, I liked it. It had nice flavor, but I won't be getting a crust-only pizza like Jadakiss anytime soon. Like I said, Cuts and Slices is really about the toppings, and that oxtail was phenomenal. It was so tender and delicious, and combined with the cheese and sweet chili, it equated to be a top-tier slice. Everything was perfectly balanced. The chili brought a little heat, but it was complemented well with an element of sweetness. While eating that slice, it became pretty clear to me why oxtail is a signature of the restaurant, although it's not just pizza that the restaurant combines with the meat. On another visit, I purchased an oxtail pinwheel. It's basically a dish made from what I presume is pizza dough rolled up and stuffed with oxtail. Just like the oxtail slice, the pinwheel was delicious. The texture was on point and it had just the right amount of oxtail, which once again was tender and luscious. In fact, Cuts and Slices cooks their oxtail for 8 hours and painstakingly removes all of the bones. However, the restaurant isn't perfect. There's a sign by the register that informs customers that there's a possibility in which small bones could be present with their oxtail dishes. On my sweet chili oxtail slice, there was one instance where I did find a tiny bone on my pizza, but really, it was no big deal. One of the other offerings I tried was a buffalo chicken slice. Normally, I'm a bit hesitant when it comes to chicken as a pizza topping since I often find it to be dry at the majority of pizzerias. However, Cuts and Slices serves a number of chicken offerings, so I thought it would be good to try at least one of them. Plus, earlier that very day, I already had a light lunch at Google's New York office, so I didn't feel like getting one of the more costlier and elaborate slices as a result. Once again, the pizza was on the mark in terms of its texture, but what surprised me the most was just how good the chicken was. It was fairly moist and flavorful. There was also just the right amount of buffalo sauce, which was nicely balanced in terms of spice. Overall, that was an above average buffalo chicken pizza for sure. The other slice I tried was one of the most expensive. It was the shrimp and lobster with black truffle Alfredo sauce. According to the menu on the wall, a single slice goes for $20. However, on my receipt, the slice was rung up as $19.50, but with the inclusion of tax, it would be a bit over $20 anyway. The slice was loaded with toppings. However, there were far more shrimp than lobster. That slice was delicious. I loved it. First off, all of the seafood on the pie was perfectly cooked. I really enjoyed the cheese and black truffle Alfredo sauce. It was rich and savory. There was a bit of umami to the pizza as well, as it was topped with fresh Parmesan and fresh imported black truffles. Plain and simple, that was a luxurious and decadent slice of pizza. To sum it up, I really enjoyed Cuts and Slices. For the most part, their flavors and toppings are very unique. It's interesting how they position themselves with such a range of prices. The restaurant offers up both luxury and affordability for pretty much the same product, pizza. For example, translating this to in terms of burgers, Minetta Tavern may sell their decadent Black Label burger for $38, but at the same time, they're not selling an affordable smash burger like the ones from 7th Street Burger for $6.50. Cuts and Slices, in a sense, is both fine dining and counter service. So, is the restaurant overpriced? No, but it can certainly be expensive. For my meal that included the Oxtail pinwheel and buffalo chicken slice, I spent $18.39. For my other lunch, which included the sweet chili oxtail slice and the shrimp and lobster black truffle Alfredo pizza, I spent $35.36. Both of my meals were excellent, except for the loud music. So that was pretty damn good. Once again, Cuts and Slices delivered. With so many great pizza places in New York City, it's hard to stand out, but Cuts and Slices stands out in the best possible way. That sweet chili oxtail slice was fantastic. That was definitely the best thing that I had from that restaurant. But the reality is, I liked all the food I had from there. It was really, really tasty. Now, there's no question about it. It's expensive for a pizza place, but they're doing stuff that your typical pizza spot doesn't do. Your average pizzeria is not putting lobster on a pizza, and lobster is a luxury ingredient, and as a result, you're gonna be paying a bit for it. So the $20 I paid for that slice with the lobster and shrimp, I don't think it's overpriced. Overall, I think the restaurant prices their dishes pretty fairly. While it is kind of difficult to compare Cuts and Slices to other pizzerias in terms of price, since their offerings are pretty unique, the fact is they do have some of the typical pizzeria staples. They offer a plain cheese slice. It's $3.50. These days in New York City, $3.50 for a plain slice is a deal. Although I feel like if you're going to Cuts and Slices, you should be there more so for their offerings with unique toppings as opposed to their cheese slice. To sum it up, I really enjoyed Cuts and Slices. Their offerings are unique and delicious. However, I did hate the high volume of music there. Honestly, I've been to clubs with softer music than that. Still, Cuts and Slices is a great restaurant. I highly recommend it, and I will certainly be back, but next time, I'll have some earplugs.